he's gonna come late, so we're gonna go forward with the three of us. We have a quorum.
Yep.
Are there any comments from the board on topics not on the agenda? Nothing, Paul? Nothing? John?
Thank you.
John, nothing?
No.
Okay, from me, I'd first like to thank John. He served the board for a really long time, and I don't know how long, but a long time. I could have called Flo Ann. I think I might do that a little bit later. But I look forward to him coming to us to keep us informed with the legislature, as I wrote down in the town report, and I just got mine, I think, on Saturday, that he's been elected to serve the House of Representatives for 2 years for Cavendish and Weathersfield, and been named to the Education Committee, and that should be interesting. So I look forward to him being in touch with us about different things from time to time, and so I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
There was, I want to keep in front of everybody about, I did speak with Willis Wood today about him emailing some people that were on the zoning board now. We do have available open positions to be filled. We want to fill those on March 4th, which will be the first meeting of this board after town meeting. And I want to give notice, again, you can go on the website either, or to call the town office, 674-2626, to ask for those positions that are open. There's a couple, I think, on the planning board, and all 5 zoning board members are up because they're 1-year terms, and as well as a couple of alternates on the zoning board. And there's a variety of different appointments that we'll make if people email either the town manager or the office somehow to make that happen. Other than that, we're still on track for our town meeting on February 27th. Yep, February 27th. I think the school starts at 10 o'clock. The town meeting will start at 12:30. The links are posted on the website now, and I believe that they're available in the town report. And like I said, I got mine on Saturday.
Good.
Yep. And so if there's a problem anywhere, please contact the office, or feel free to reach out to one of us about how you log on. It's going to be all virtual, and which means that we'll have a screen, and Brandon's going to have a presentation here a little bit later about what we're going to do. It's going to be similar as what we've done in past years with a slideshow and a presentation, but we're not going to allow any in-person attendance. All articles, I want to remind everybody that all articles will be voted on by Australian ballot on Tuesday, March 2nd. Polls will open, I think it's at 10 o'clock in the morning, and close at 7 o'clock at night. There's a list of people that have placed their names on the ballot to vote on. The only other thing that I would ask this board to consider, I got a note from John Broker Campbell, who's the town moderator and who's also running for re-election. He's getting his second COVID shot the Friday before the Saturday, or some such of a thing. And there's been some in the news where the second shot provides some issues with the shot, and he wanted to keep us informed. I suggested to Brandon, I copied him back on the email, that we need to be prepared, and I offered to step in at least as the whatever you want to call it, a fill-in for the town moderator, to read the articles and to try to direct traffic. But we definitely need to be prepared, and this board needs to be aware of it in case that happens. Paul, you have a question?
Could we reach out, maybe like Peter's want to do it?
I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I got that email, and that, I just started thinking about what to do or what not to do.
That wasn't.
That's a good thought,
Yep,
though.
yep.
The
yep.
Secretary of State's office said that the select board fills that position.
So you could ask somebody to do it or not?
Yeah, the select board can appoint somebody, or the select board, one of the select board members can fulfill that duty.
Okay, so Can we take care of that like right now? Because we're not gonna have another meeting before town meeting. So you're suggesting that we reach out to Peter Cole to ask him on a
Yes.
temporary basis?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
and
would.
if that doesn't happen,
If needed.
If needed.
if he can't for some reason,
you.
okay. Because
Yeah, I'll second that.
I want to clear this off right now so that we don't have to have another meeting and say, somebody fumbled the ball. So,
Yep.
okay, is it consensus that we'll take care of that?
Yep.
We don't need a
Yep.
motion, we're all set.
Yep.
Okay,
You're
good.
gonna talk to Peter?
Or I'll have Brandon in the office reach out. So I'm just trying to be prepared. John is it, and he's preparing to do it. I have not reached out to the school about that. Could have the same effect where he wouldn't,
They're just gonna have to live with it.
or I want them to be prepared too in the absence of the moderator. Brandon, did you have any comments on anything? Now, I think that's it for me. I didn't write anything down. I want to thank the road crew. I know it's been tough sledding the last week or two. They put in a lot of time. It's been very helpful that they've been able to do what they do. Brandon, did you have any comments on some topics not on the agenda? Nothing from the manager? Okay. Is there anybody online or from the public that has a comment that is not on the agenda? We can take that up now. Josh Campo, can you hear us okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I would love to comment on a topic on the agenda, but not on the agenda.
Yep. Well, we're taking them one at a time here. I just wanted to make sure that before you had a little difficulty hearing me, I want to make sure the audio is still okay. Okay, let's move on to the minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes of February 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second?
Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes of February 1st, 2021. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it's 3-4, so that we have them, if there's any question, I voted yes. We're moving down to number 4, which is to vote to approve the highway mileage certificate for, I don't know if that's a finite thing, whether it's 2021 or whether it goes on a town year, or does it go on how does that, is there a time thing on this, Brandon, or?
Yeah, it's due by February 20th.
No, I meant for the, is there a beginning date and a year end date, or is it all for 2021, or is it?
7/1/2021 to 6/30/2022.
Okay, so it's almost like a year ahead. Everybody, if you go on that, okay, I'm moving up to the
There's no
minutes.
changes from last year. No. We didn't add or subtract any classes of roads.
No, I don't think we added anything. Normally, it has to do with the, generally, it's like a class 4 or
Right.
something. It's not.
Changes.
Yep. Did somebody make that motion yet to approve the mileage for, so it would be?
Motion to approve the certificate of highway mileage.
I'll second it.
The motion been made and seconded to approve the certificate of highway mileage for the town of Weathersfield dated February 10th, 2021 for 2021 and ending on June 30th of 2022. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same thing, DeForest. Can you mark me down as a yes?
Hey,
John?
one thing, I sent a note to be on the agenda, but it's not. You guys need to remember to do the weight limit
Yep. Okay.
for springtime.
Yep. Is there anything on here for highway or no? Without objection, why don't I just take that up now? John did send out an email, and it didn't make the agenda, but it's just a formality where the highway superintendent can, through the town manager or through management, post roads as needed. That's always been historically the way it's worked, and then they, sometimes they're needed earlier, sometimes not. So why don't I entertain a motion to allow the superintendent, highway to post roads as needed for this spring?
So move.
Is there a second?
Yep, second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the posting of town highways.
Reduce weight limit.
Yeah, as needed for the spring of 2020, 2021. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks for reminding me of that. I knew that was missing. I probably missed something else too, and then it'll be over. We have the January year-to-date finance report. Do you want to handle that a little bit, Brandon, or do you want Rosalie to do it? How do you want to do it, together, or I'll leave it up to you?
Yeah, so this is the first report with our new finance system that we established in Weathersfield. It's taken us several months to do it, and this is the first report. After this report, Rosalie's going to take it from here. So I'll start with general fund revenues. Everybody has a stapled packet, and it's also in your electronic packet, so whichever one you want to look at to follow along. General fund revenues are currently at 58% overall. We have collected $846,000 as of January 31st. General fund tax revenue is at 58%, or $630,000. Administration revenues are at 52%.
Where should they be, Brandon? I don't want to break in, but should it be at 58 or should it be 50? Where should it be?
Right between 50 and 60%,
Okay.
considering that's about how far we are into the fiscal year.
At February, okay,
We're 7 months in.
So
good,
we're right on track.
okay.
Library revenues are at 0%, and that's due to COVID. They can't collect any of their program revenues right now because they're not having any programs.
Have they kept track of that, so perhaps that we could keep that in mind on the next COVID grant, maybe?
Yes.
Okay, so they're tracking that.
Yes, and it's projected at $1,800 for this
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So it's not a big chunk of change.
No, but zero should bother anybody.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Town clerk revenues are far higher than projected. They're at 85%. Listers revenues are at 0%. Their revenue usually comes in around April, and that comes from the state of Vermont for reappraisals. Land use revenues are at 76%, right on track. Police department revenues are at 25%, and fire service revenues are at 0%. The chart below indicates where revenue was projected to be, the actual and the variance. So we still have, you can see in fire services that $4,000 is from them reimbursing us for their insurance. For some reason, that's how it was set up in the past. But moving into FY22, we've just added that into the budget, so that'll go away. The police department revenues at $38,420 is because we haven't pulled in the reserve to purchase the police cruiser yet. So as soon as the police cruiser is ready for us to write a check, that money will be pulled in, and then it'll be updated in the variance. Moving into general fund expenses. General fund expenses are at 51%, so about 7% lower than projected, or $782,000 as of January 31st. Administration expenses are at 62%. Library expenses are at 50%. Finance expenses are at 46%. So the reason why admin expenses are over and finance expenses are under is because of the reorganization, so that's a balance. Town clerk expenses are at 52%. Listers expenses are at 71%. Land use expenses are at 56%, and police department expenses are at 46%. And again,
Just a sec. At the top of these graphs is a thing, there's a box that says Series 2, Series 1. Is that date? What is that, revenue versus expenses?
excuse me, so the orange is the actual expense, the blue is the approved expense
Okay,
for FY21.
that makes more sense.
And again, at the bottom down there, fire service expenses are at 36%, and this chart basically shows what the budget was, what the actual is, and the variance. The next column is the percent that we've spent to date.
So again, the same thing, the target should be around 58?
Yes.
Okay. But you could also say that a particular division might be seasonal.
Yes.
So if the listers, for instance, are at 71%, that's really only because most of that expense is not in the wintertime. It's
Yes.
being absorbed in the fall, or, yeah, okay, so it's seasonal. That's a pretty
Exactly.
good word. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Moving on to the next page, we'll get to the highway fund. And this chart shows actual and approved, John. So the orange is actual and the approved is blue. Highway fund revenues are at 52%. We have collected $662,000 as of January 31st. And actually, those revenues, we've just updated them today. And we've included another payment from the state of Vermont for $38,000. So that should move it right around the 60% range. There's a chart here that shows what the budget is, what the actual is now, and the variance, as well as the percent to date. So you can see state aid to highway was at 74,519. The variance was 67,481, but like I said, we just pulled in another 38,000 today, so that percentage went up overall. As shown above, transfers from the fund balance to reserve has not taken place as of January 31st, 2021. These changes will be reflected in the February finance report. We actually just did update that reserve sheet, and we emailed it over to you. So as of the date of this finance report, it wasn't done, but it is done now. Highway fund expenses are currently at 43% overall, so they're much lower than expected. Personnel is at 54%, about 4% lower than projected. Office expenses are at 45%. Utility expenses are high at 74%. I anticipate in projections will be made in February. Rosalie will be doing the finance report and the updating of the sheets, and then I'll be doing the projections. So I'll show you exactly what we feel like, well, how much we'll go over on utility expenses this year. Those will be on the February finance report. Highway garage and truck expenses are at 37%. Road material repairs expenses are at 32%. Fees and permits are at 0, and debt service expenses are at 56%. So we still have a couple more payments to make this year. Moving on to the next page, solid waste fund.
Can I have a question here? And this is just something to think about. Would the, and I like this. I like this a lot because it gives us a snapshot in percentages, and actually you've got the dollar amount. We haven't seen this in a while, this kind of format where we're getting a running, you know, instead of having like 4 months go by and then we're trying to sort things out. Where I'm noting where the total overall highway fund expenses are at 43%. The personnel seems to be on target. But I'm wondering whether, in a management capacity, whether you and Ray need to sit down and say, okay, is it because this is 43 and it conceivably to stay within the budget could be as high as like 58? Is there a way that we can use that money to maybe put out an RFP to secure a little bit better source of gravel or something like that? Where, and I don't know what you're anticipating to spend between February and the end of June, but it would appear to me from this sheet that you're at 43 to this date, meaning there's 57 left to spend between now and June 30th.
Yeah, if we stay on this track, there would be another significant surplus.
Yeah, so what I'm asking you to do is to sit down with Ray and go over what, because I remember him listening in the budget process, is that he didn't seem to have a lot of inventory, or, I don't know, just do some management thinking and then work with him. And I'm not talking about running out to a new venture. I'm talking about the things that are always being used, such as gravel or tires or something along that line. Because this is the first time I've seen it. I mean, you and I talk a lot, but I didn't see it in black and white until tonight.
Yep.
Are there any questions on the highway expenses? No. Okay.
All right, moving on to solid waste. Solid waste revenues are at 56%. We have collected $157,000 as of January 31st. So we're pretty much right on target here. The Reading assessment is generally received in April, so that's one of the reasons why that revenue line looks a little bit low. West Windsor permits increased as a result of permit sticker enforcement practices. Similarly, West Windsor punch tickets increased. Like I said, I believe we're right on track with revenue for solid waste at this time. Expenses are currently at 54%. Personnel expenses are at 59%. Office expenses are at 24%. Utility expenses are at 81%. And tippage and recycling expenses are at 61%. I don't know what's going on with utilities. It seems like when the budget was created last year, they were projected very low across the board for all departments, including Martin Memorial Hall and the library, transfer station and the highway. So we're gonna be going over across town on utilities this year.
Utilities being strictly electric or electric and water?
Electric and water. Water won't be going over, but electric will.
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, when you say 81%, it's like $3,823.
Yeah, it's,
So it's not like, 81% of 100,000, so.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
it,
Yes, I get what you mean, Paul.
$800 changes that percentage real quick.
Yep.
it does.
So,
Well, the good news is if we secure, which, I mean, I haven't heard anything otherwise, but if we secure the actual groundbreaking for the solar project, we're gonna reduce electric things 10% on everything we've got in town,
Yes.
plus the $11,000 or $10,000 payment for the use of the site.
Yeah, that'll certainly help our utility expenses going forward.
Yeah, even if they have rate increases, we're locked in at the percent share. Yeah, that's a good, that was like a bonus. Any questions about solid waste at all? I mean, that's a work in progress. It's gonna be continuing.
All right, so moving on to the next page, these are all new charts. And the great thing about these charts is they automatically update as we enter information into the finance system to do the actuals. So these charts, they're not something that we have to spend personnel time creating every month. They auto-populate with the formulas and the strings that we created. But it's an interesting snapshot of our expenses overall. You can see, and this is tied in for all departments, so debt and capital expenses, you can see the actual and what the budget was across the board. Insurance expenses, legal and consulting, utilities, office expenses, and personnel expenses. So you can see that personnel overall is $1,000,005, and we've spent $836. So that's pretty. We're going to be low this year, and this includes highway as well.
Okay, so you lumped them together.
The next one, it shows them separated, personnel expenses by
Yep.
fund.
Yep.
Solid waste fund, you can see that it's about 50%. Highway fund, a little bit less than 50, or a little bit more than 50. And then you have the general fund. Moving down, office expenses by fund. So these are all of our office expenses in town per fund. So you can see the approved amount was 47,000, and we've spent 11. Highway fund, it was 10, we've spent 4. General fund, it was 133, and we spent 80. The next page are utilities by fund. So it just gives another snapshot of utilities, legal fees by fund, insurance. And the final page is our debt service and all funds revenue. So it's just charts you can reference if you're ever interested to just see where we're at per fund. I know the general fund has multiple departments, so rather than just looking at each department, you can just kind of see a snapshot overall.
Any questions about the January year-to-date finance report from all three funds? Okay.
The format, it's good format.
Yeah, really, and like I said, it gives you a snapshot about where, like, if you're using 58 as the target, we can go in our own mind quickly about where you're supposed to be right now. Okay, let's move on to the updated FY22 final proposed budget for all departments. I mean, this just gave us a lot of information right there.
So the FY22 budget for all departments, that's just the updated FY22 budget reflecting the changes that the board made in the previous meetings with the fund balance. So this is the final approved budget with the reserves, everything's balanced. And if anybody has any questions on that, or if you reviewed it and seen something that was inconsistent, we spent a lot of time balancing it and making sure everything is working, and we're very confident that it is.
Any questions at all? The only question I had, when we keep scrolling down here and go to the, I don't know if we're going to get to them, but the reserve accounts, which are always really important, especially this year, to under our description about what the budget means for everybody, is there was a couple of things which Brandon straightened me out on a little bit today about what the amounts that were actually in the reserve accounts. But I asked him, and I think he's going to do it, that we also need to outline for people what is already encumbered and voted on to spend. For instance, the reserve account now for fire, non-motorized fire gear is something like $56,000. That's what's in the bank now. But the board voted a month or two ago to disperse, I don't know what it was, like $15,000 for each department to buy new gear. So that account really isn't, it is today $56,000, but the checks are going to be written out for $30,000 this month, or whenever they receive their gear.
One of them's actually in the warrant article.
For tonight. So the next one was the wheel fund for highway. We have, and I guess we took delivery of the truck that was authorized by the voters a year ago, and it's now getting the body put on it. So I think that those payments, they're either in the pipeline to be made or whatever, and there was an amount that's going to come out of that reserve as well. So while the reserve accounts look very strong, if the question comes up saying, oh my God, I didn't know I had that in there, we also have to be prepared to say, well, wait a minute, it was today, but there's purchases that have been authorized and made that are not going to look that account. Those are the two that came up to my mind quickly.
Dave, those have been, since that conversation,
At least noted. You noted them.
We changed the charts. We added a column called encumbered.
Yep.
And then we subtracted the encumbered from the current balance and reflected those changes.
Yep. Okay, let's go to town meeting presentation. Did everybody kind of, I did, I went on your email to me and I skimmed down, and I like it a lot. I mean, it's similar to what we just went through right here for the, year-to-date, the January one. It does show a detailed, but, well, not so much. It compresses things so that it seemed to me to be easy to understand. I hope that's the case, and if you wanted to get into a specific question on a line item, you will also be able to find that. But for the presentation, it seemed to be pretty good. So why don't you take that, and we'll run through that quickly now, Brandon.
All right, so we have done significant reformatting since the last one that I sent you, and we'll probably still be updating it up until town meeting day. So what you see here looks a little bit different than what you were sent. You have a printed copy in front of you, and then it's also on your iPads. So this is what we were thinking, just a simple cover sheet. Go ahead, Olivia.
So just remember, for the voters or for the audience that's going to either look at this on SAPA TV, all of these articles will be voted on by Australian ballot on Tuesday, March 2nd. So there's no floor voting, and so I want to reassure people that there's no hurrying around or should I do this or should I do that, because like some of the other town meetings in person, we would vote on the floor the first 4 articles. It's not happening this year because we don't have any in person. You're going to be able to vote on these articles in the at the ballot box or by absentee ballot. Okay? Go ahead.
The next slide's just the presentation outline. This is a new slide that we added with the 8 articles. Good. Article 1, just a simple slide for Article 1. Same with Article 2. Article 3.
We'll take questions. We'll take.
Going through these, are we going to assign people to actually say something? Some of these there's nothing to say.
They'll be read by the moderator or whoever's going to do that, and then we will take questions on the article if there, from the public, if there are any questions. Just like a regular town meeting. So we'll read,
Right.
someone, either John Broker Campbell, Peter Cole, or myself is gonna read that article when it comes time. And then or somebody's going to say, are there any questions to the article? And then either Olivia or some chain somewhere, we're gonna be able to identify whoever has their hand up and they would like to speak to the article or not, is going to funnel that name into whoever's doing the moderating of the meeting, and then we're gonna move from there, just like a regular meeting, except it'll be more organizational, and we hope we don't lose video or audio, then it will be like we'll pause.
My point, Dave, was that on some of the slides, usually one of the select board members gets up and speaks,
Yep,
if it's appropriate.
yep.
Also-
Well, let's back up to Article 1 then, because, okay. So this one's pretty
That's a
straightforward.
no-brainer.
Right, so I'm not sure that other than reading the article, I think that that's okay. Go to Article 2. This one, I mean, we could have the manager speak on it. I mean, it's a simple explanation. From time to time, we work with our treasurer and finance department, and there are sometimes periods in time where we need to borrow money in anticipation. Oh, no, this is the Proctor Library, Article 2.
It's just a boilerplate.
Yeah,
It's in every year.
this allows the trustees to make that decision on their own to spend that money. Right? If they get gifts
Yep.
or grant money, and they do it. Let's go to Article 3. This is the one with the borrowing money. We work with the town treasurer. He tells us with our finance department what the cash flow is of the town. We do it if we have to, we don't if we don't. I'm not sure if there's any money outstanding right now.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
We have the paving loan.
Well, no, that's different. That's a finite loan. That borrows money against ourselves.
That's
but-
for cash flow.
Yeah, this is a little bit different. This is if we are short somehow on money, that we would borrow money in anticipation of property taxes.
We don't have any
We
outstanding.
don't have any outstanding. Normally, it's very short term. It's for like
We
2 or 3
haven't
months.
taken out a tax anticipation note for a long
Yeah.
time.
Right. Let's go to Article 4. Yeah, and that's if somebody wants to bring something to the floor. I'm not sure how that would be acted on this year because we're not having any floor voting or there's no actionable issue. Somebody could say they want to speak to the town, but there wouldn't be any action taken on some matter, on any matter. Article 5. Okay. These are obviously terms. There's no names attached to these terms. You'd find the names in our town report who has taken out papers or worked with the town clerk in order to seek those positions. If they're empty, I suppose somebody could say that I'm running as a write-in. That would be allowed. That would be handled by the moderator to their satisfaction. Now we move into the presentation about what would be Article 5 then?
Yep.
Or 6, sorry.
So we separated each of the following articles with these cover sheets, so we know what we're looking at.
Perhaps you should, so I don't see in this sequence in our thing here, maybe it's in the printed form, but between Article 5 and what you've got on this slide, you need to have one that says Article 6 and what the words say.
We put that at the end of the general fund budget, so we do the presentation, and then the moderator would read that
Well,
article, or do you?
I like it better the other way around.
Okay.
You read the article and
I agree.
then have the presentation. So just swap that. I mean,
Yep.
we've always had that before that same way.
All right, go to Olivia.
Because we'll have the presentation, and then we'll be quiet, and then the moderator will say, are there any questions on Article 6, which will mean the general fund presentation.
Yep. So the first slide explains our cumulative fund balance. We basically give an overview here. Before pre-FY 20 expense, excess revenues over expenditures in our undesignated fund balance were $67,000. FY20, it was 103,000, and the total cumulative fund balance that we had to address was 170,000 this year. Go ahead. This slide explains some of the big ticket items where the fund balance came from. So we collected $67,000 more in revenue than anticipated, and we expended $35,000 less than anticipated. This slide shows where the positives came from and where the negatives came from to get that balance. So tax revenue was over by 42,000, current use was over by 13,000, land records by 5,000, delinquent tax penalties, 2,000, tax sales, 2,000, land records, almost 2,000, police revenue, and library internet reimbursements. We were less in dog licenses, fish and wildlife, water salary reimbursements, which we addressed this year. Martin Memorial Hall rentals was less $500 due to COVID. We couldn't rent the building. Police funds, 3,500, Corps of Engineers, 2,300, Fire Hazmat, 500, and Perkinsville reimbursements for their lights was short 175. So that gave us the balance of 67,000.
I would like to comment, the first one, the tax revenue, that's a little bit, we're not taxing people a penny or a little bit more higher than normal. What that generally is recovery of some delinquent taxes.
Yeah.
So it's not anything other than that, and we're trying to do a better job at that every single year. So,
That's more or less reaching a balance point too, where comes in, goes out.
Yep.
People are delinquent, people pay out.
you'll be able to, you'll see that there's a page.
That's the ideal scenario.
Yeah, there's a page in the town report that has it down. I don't know which one, I didn't bring my town report, I should have.
And this is our expense balance. So this is where we expended less than what we projected, and then the column over to the right is where we expended more than projected. So we expended less in secretary wages, insurance benefits, town report production, tuition and dues, travel and mileage, liability insurance, grant matches. This is the sheet that we used when we developed the FY22 budget. So we looked at where we spent less, and these are most of the lines where we cut from. And then we looked at expenses where we spent more. FICA, workers' comp, IT services, delinquent tax, legal. That was one of the lines that we reduced this year. Telephones, legal fees, town forest, legal, we spent $4,700 more there. VMERS, emergency management, but that line is a wash from the grant that we received. Fire equipment repair, Martin Memorial Hall building and maintenance, library utilities, and WWVFD funding was $1,700 more last year. And this is the slide that we questioned the language. Cumulative fund balance designations, tax rate stabilization initiative. The select board made a series of strategic fund balance transfers to reduce the tax burden of future equipment and apparatus purchases and tax relief. Then we showed the 5 transfers to reserves. Is that acceptable with the board?
Yeah.
Okay. The next slide is our general fund quick facts. So some of the facts about the FY22 budget. It uses the cumulative fund balance to reduce the budget by $37,000, decreasing taxes as it relates to the general fund. This budget creates 2 new jobs from the elimination of 1 position and decreases personnel expenses by $5,000. It uses the cumulative fund balance to fund reserves in the police and fire departments, which will assist in the stabilization of the tax rate for several years because we will not need to put special articles on the ballot. Reduces office expenses by 26%, and the reason it does that is because we enhanced technology in Weathersfield through a grant that we received this year to purchase 12 iPads and 10 laptops for staff, decreasing the use of paper and postage.
On number 3, all those words are true with regard to police. Because of the cost of the units, but I'm not sure that I agree wholeheartedly with that reasoning, particularly if the town chooses to buy some type of fire truck in several years. I look at the several years and I see we're not going to put a special article on to purchase apparatus for these departments for several years. That would be a fairly large ticket, and I don't think we have that kind of money into the reserve accounts for such a need as a truck. The police cars, yes, we've taken care of that. We got one paid for cash outright, and we almost have enough money to pay for a second one in a couple of years. But there's no way that we have enough money set aside for a fire truck per se.
Yep.
So I don't know how you want to.
I would agree. That particular paragraph, it doesn't do it for several years. It does it for the coming year.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll
Yeah.
trickle over.
Yeah. But the police, just in the nature of the beast, I mean, we're talking about $50,000. We're not talking about $250,000. Yeah. So, and I don't know that we're going to buy a new truck. I don't want to go down that road. But the words on that say that we're not going to do anything on a special article for several years.
Yeah, we'll revise that language, I agree.
For gear, yes, barring a purchase of a large ticket item, a machine. I don't know.
All right, next. Increases the employee share of health insurance by 4.5%, decreasing the cost of health insurance for Weathersfield taxpayers. Increases revenue from the Ascutney Water District by 69% to the town for admin support and financial management of the water district, which offsets personnel expenses. Decreases IT service and software expenses in the admin budget by $14,000, and increases these expenses in department budgets that use these services to more accurately demonstrate the cost of operating each department. Next. These are 4 slides, 4 charts that give a snapshot of the general fund.
Are you going to have that up for the town meeting just that way?
Yes.
Okay, because it's a little bit off the screen.
Oh yeah, on our projector screen it shows like that, but in the actual presentation it doesn't on other users' computers.
You're not going to go about one by one. You're just going to go blank. This 4.
Yep.
Okay. The board okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
And the reason I'm doing it that way is so I can go to the next chart and people can still see the first chart if they want to, if they're still thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's a 4-panel, basically. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
we use the same thing for that reason.
So we
Basically,
can,
you're just going to do a screen share.
yes.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing right now, so everybody
Right.
that's viewing
Looks
this
like
can,
what you're looking at, Dave.
Yep.
Well, the only thing, while I'm thinking of it, do we know SAC was able to pick up
yes.
the cameras? I mentioned this last meeting. I don't think the cameras are going to be able to pick the screen up.
Well,
We know they are. Killer can't.
I don't think their cameras need to. Or maybe they do, because if they're gonna watch it on SAPA TV and not live,
Right.
that's something that we should probably chat with her about.
You may be able to feed them, rather than coming off these cameras, you may be able to just feed them what people would be getting normally online.
It's just that you need to make a call to SAPA
Yeah.
to ask what's happening on the town meeting.
So the first chart gives each department's budget. So we can quickly go through, and fire services is 211,000, police department is 320,000, land use department is 61,000, listers is 74,000, town clerk is 112,000, finance is 74,000, library is 125,000, and admin is 459. The next chart shows our general fund tax need and expense for 5 years. So we can see that the tax need is actually reducing this year from 1,080,411 in FY21, and it's going down to 1,042,000 in FY22. and our expenses are decreasing by about $41,000. The next chart is FY21 to FY22, departmental expense increases and decreases. So we can see from this chart that admin has increased by $13,000, but finance has decreased by $12,000, library decreased by $13,000, town clerk increased by $2,700, listers increased by $13,000, land use increased by $6,500, police department expenses decreased by $17,000, and fire services increased by $9,800. The next chart is the general fund debt schedule. So we can see here that we have a police cruiser payment that was paid in FY20 that's not being carried forward in FY21 and FY22. And our fire truck payment matures in FY22. So that payment is our last payment, and we will have no more debt in the general fund. These are our general fund reserves. You can see the new column, Dave, that we've labeled encumbered. And then we added the firefighting equipment and gear expenses. So we've spent $3,000 of the $30,000 that was approved, and then the bill will come in and we'll have to pay it for $26,000.
Brandon, the top line land and vital records, that balance can't be $1 if it collected $100 in interest.
I was wondering the same thing about that. This is something that Steve Hire puts together,
Okay.
and I'll chat with Steve about that tomorrow. And yeah.
Is the interest? I want to know how.
Does anybody have any questions about our reserves? All right, next slide. And we'll take this Article 6 and we'll move it to the front. Next slide. The next is our highway fund proposed budget. Next slide. And the same thing, cumulative fund balance overview, highway fund, pre-FY20, the undesignated fund balance was $97,000. FY20, the fund balance was $92,000, giving us a total cumulative undesignated fund balance of $190,000. And this explains how that fund balance was acquired. So we collected $4,200 more in revenue than anticipated, and we expended $86,000 less than anticipated. And this is the balance of our revenue. So we collected more in state aid, service to dry hydrants, miscellaneous revenue, service to the Ascutney Fire District, overweight permits, service to Martin Memorial Hall, and service to the West Weathersfield Volunteer Fire Department. And this is where we collected less revenue than anticipated. Tax revenue was less $145. Driveway permits was less $50. Service to solid waste, service to the 1879 school, service to police. So it's basically all the departments that the highway department services that they didn't service as much as anticipated.
Make a note, Brandon, to move slide 28 to the beginning of the highway.
Yes.
Which is the article,
Yeah.
the Article 7,
Yeah.
yeah, or 8, whatever it is. Yep.
Okay. Next. And this shows where we spent less and more. And this is really the bulk of the fund balance. So our regular wages was less $18,000. Our overtime wages was less $11,000. Grant expenses were less $12,000. Salt was less $21,000. Stormwater permits was less $1,000. Culverts was less $1,000. Plow blades was less $1,000. Repairs and supplies was less $7,900. Computer equipment less $1,000. Workers' compensation less $3,300. And retirement was less $1,500. We spent more in insurance benefits by $2,000. IT services by $1,700. Diesel fuel by $1,700. Chloride by $4,000. Gasoline $258. Training $577. And paving repairs $7,700. Does anybody have any questions about the fund balance and our expenses or revenues? All right. Next slide. So again, this is another slide that we put together similar to the general fund. The select board made a series of strategic fund balance transfers to reduce the tax burden of future equipment and apparatus purchases in the future. And that was a $60,000 move to highway equipment acquisition, capital maintenance, the down payment for the motor grader, and the contingency for FY22.
Somewhere, be prepared to, in the select board's report from the town report and on this one, it actually, it speaks to the purchase of the grader. Just be prepared in case that question comes up saying, okay, what was the grader? So just have that paperwork ready, will you?
Okay.
I mean, so I'm anticipating a question that may not happen, but at least you're gonna be ready to answer it. Where you say, we traded, this was the trade price, we took $45,000 in cash and paid for it, we took a loan and paid the balance, so it's all answered.
It stayed within the article.
So there's no guessing. Yeah, the article was voted on by the voters a year ago, we put it out to bid, that's what happened.
Okay. Next slide.
I got a general question on the presentation. I appreciate what you're doing, but I'm wondering if it's useful to read all these numbers. I think we're gonna lose people.
I don't, as I was listening to him say it,
Okay.
I'm going like this, and so I don't think you need to get too deep with $700 savings.
Okay.
I think you can just say, people can read along with this list as what.
There you go. Rather than reading every number
Yeah.
specifically.
And you might want to hit one that's got like 5 numbers. So you can see that we saved almost $20,000 on not buying salt. I just remember
Okay.
that already, and I just saw the slide a minute ago. So $21,000, 21.5 something. I got a pretty good memory. But I don't remember the $520 for like workman's comp that cost me a little more money. So I think if you just highlight those, that'd be great.
Okay. Noted. All right, in this chart here.
Do you want to have anything to say about this highway?
I
mean, you-
told Brandon I'd do the whole highway.
Okay,
If you
it
wanted me to.
doesn't bother me. I mean, that's, when we're getting into the description about what to do with the highway, it's,
Absolutely, that sounds like a good idea. This chart shows our 5-year tax need and expense overview. We can see here that we're requesting the same amount of money in FY22 as what we requested in FY21. Next slide. And this is the highway fund long-term debt schedule. We can see that the grader payment fell off in FY20, and then we picked up another grader payment in FY22. And we can also see that our grader payment is about $14,000 less, with less interest moving forward from FY22, which matures in FY28.
just as a note to you, John, I'm not sure that a component of the reasoning for the grader was that we did buy, that we went further than, but we still kept within the, I respect what you said about keeping within the dollar amount that was voted on, but we bought a 7-year full warranty.
Yeah, definitely
And-
gonna mention that.
And the first time ever, we bought a 5-year service plan.
Right.
Because we don't even have to change the oil in this now, it's done. And it's computer, believe it or not, because I only know this because I was talking to the guys. It's monitored, here we are in the world of Star Trek. The hours on the grader are monitored from Maine, from Milton Cat in Maine, through a satellite, and they know that it has like 14.3 hours on it, and they notify the service department that they have to schedule in something to do when it's like 50 hours. So,
Well, there's still people in town that go, why are they buying a new grader? And
Yes.
I think they deserve an explanation.
Well-
And it's because it's cheaper.
well, no, you could get into that too, because we did have an issue when it was out of warranty,
Yep.
and then these things have, they do, and I mean, I even get this, where they have modules that are computer driven in the thing, and they're in series. Now, you can fix them, and we did fix them, but the voters voted to trade it in, and to buy a new one. So it stood on the article, and we just did what the voters wanted to do, and we made the best deal available to do it.
Also from this debt schedule, we can see that our paving loan matures in FY24. Our plow truck loan matures in FY '23. Then we have 2 payments up until FY '28.
But we pick up with a new truck payment, right? A plow truck. We haven't
Yes.
spent that yet.
And that truck payment's $20,000, and the grader payment's $19,000. So if you combine those two, it's literally the cost of what it was for one plow truck or one grader. So I think we made good financial moves there. Next slide. And these are our highway fund reserves. And we added, again, Dave, that encumbered column, and then we subtracted it from the current balance.
And that's really noteworthy, so, for the future. Because I've been following these slides pretty closely, and I saw and perhaps this is the way to go about this. I saw in the very beginning of this meeting where the highway expenses are 43, and they should be 58. Maybe we ought to start thinking about doing the same thing what we did, because the acquisition, the wheel fund is going to shrink in half to 75,000 with no special article after we pay for the dump truck. So in the year coming ahead, we'll have that conversation with the new board about what to do on June 30th. If perhaps we should, again, do a similar thing.
Yep.
Raise that. We'll talk about that then, but.
All right, and these are highway fund proposed FY '22 budget quick facts. It uses the same tax revenue as FY '21. It increases the employee share of health insurance by 4.5%. This budget includes the motor grader and dump truck payments as voted by the town in FY '21. It includes the 5-year maintenance plan and 7-year warranty on the motor grader. It reduces highway garage and truck expenses by $12,000. It funds paving, salt, gravel, road material, the same as FY '21. Funds chloride, culverts, road signs, and contract work, the same as FY '21. This budget increases summer mowing by $2,000 and reduces diesel fuel by $5,000. Next slide.
And I'm not sure where that's going, so we need to be prepared for that, because diesel's rising a lot right now.
Yep.
So, we'll deal with it.
And we'll move this to the front.
Yep.
All right, next slide. This is our solid waste proposed FY '22 budget quick facts. This budget increases revenues from West Windsor by $9,000. This budget decreases revenues from Weathersfield by $3,800. Trash tippage increased by $2,500. Personnel increased by $468. Recycling expenses increased by $8,500. And C&D tippage decreased by $5,200. And that was the result of what the decision of the select board in the spring of 2020. The total solid waste management reserve is $73,218.
But that points out what you guys were talking to me about early on. Look at the recycling. Yeah.
Paul, do you want to do this
Yeah.
portion?
Yeah, we already said that, yes, absolutely.
All right, next slide. And again, this is a 4-prong chart. So it shows our solid waste 5-year revenue and expense overview. So in FY '21, our revenue and expenses were $283,000. FY '22, they're $289,000. Our revenues and expenses were the least in FY '20 out of those 5 years. Solid waste assessments by town, 5-year overview. So we can see here that West Windsor revenue has gradually increased. It started off at 0 in FY '18, and then it's slowly been working itself up with the biggest jump between FY '21 and FY '22. Reading has remained the same since FY '18, and those are 2 areas that we're working on right now. Weathersfield has fluctuated within $5,000 since FY '18. Tippage and recycling expenses, I just noticed a spelling error in that chart. We can see here that trash tippage has fluctuated between about $10,000 over the past 5 years. C&D tippage was the least in FY '18. It started increasing up to FY '21 of $38,000. The select board made the decision on C&D, and we reduced it this year in FY '22. Trash pickup has increased by a few $100s this in FY '22. Tippage and recycling expenses, 5-year overview. We can see C&D, zero sort, recycling expenses, and the disposal of tires. And as we can see from this chart, recycling expenses were very high in FY '18, dropped to $5,000 in FY '19. FY '20, they were $4,400, FY '21, $5,000, and then they spiked back up in FY '22 to $13,000. Next slide. And we'll move this slide to the front of solid waste. Next slide. This is our question slide. And then the last slide.
I'm not sure, you're gonna do that solid waste, Paul?
Yeah.
I'm not sure you need to get as deep as what Brandon did get on the little things about those things, but, I mean, it's a work in progress to try to get the 3 towns to be paying equal.
absolutely.
And then the recycling issue is kind of thing, and then we did stop the C&D. I think if you just highlighted those, I think people are gonna understand.
Absolutely.
And if the thing comes up about stickers, we gotta be prepared for that, whether, you know, is it a free sticker now, or is it second sticker free, or what, is that been totally resolved?
I think it has.
Anything to
but-
do with cars?
Yeah, we've resolved that in office. Everything's pretty stable here.
Okay.
And we're still working.
There's not gonna be any surprises, right? We're not gonna get another whole thing for like June, and then we're not gonna come in our tax bills?
No, that's not
Okay,
gonna happen again.
Brendan, you're planning on using cameras on the iPads, right?
Yeah, so all of us will have cameras focused on ourselves, but no microphones. We'll use these microphones. And this way, this way Weathersfield residents can see each of us all the time, close
Make
up.
sure the top of your head isn't cut off or
Will do.
something. 'Cause right now, we'd be taking a picture like that.
Oh,
We'll be having a test, right? Like maybe by what, like 12:15 or something like that to see?
You know, that way you can get,
these will actually be kind of like held up on stands,
Okay.
kind of like this.
Okay, I just wanna
So-
be, I don't
Oh,
wanna,
It's like
okay, that's even
a
better.
stand that holds it.
Whoa,
So
okay.
yeah. I guess like a selfie stick. I don't know if you
so
ever
we're just
used
gonna
those.
stay in position, right? The board is gonna stay here, and if you're gonna do the highway, you're gonna do it from right there.
Yep.
And then, if you're gonna do the solid, you're gonna do it from right, you're gonna stay, nobody's getting moving around, right?
Nope.
Okay. So, if John can't make it, then I would suggest that maybe Olivia or whatever stay down here, right? Because wasn't the initial thing that they wanted to be not down here, they're gonna be upstairs?
Yes.
Okay,
that's correct.
Chauncey is gonna be here, right, for that? I mean, you
Yes.
reached out to her, she commented that she would help with that too, because of the difference, but she's still
All I
be here.
wanna do is have less confusion.
Yeah.
If that's gonna be possible. So, we need to be prepared if John's not here, and if Peter's gonna do it, or where's he gonna be, and he would need to know about it, and whatever. Is Olivia gonna be the only one that handles questions from online, or I don't know, who, I could've had a
Pressure
VA.
is gonna be on.
What's that?
Yes.
I told her the pressure's gonna be on.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Or if we lose a little leg of something on somebody's, we just need to be prepared. What I would suggest is, and the moderator,
I think
whoever
it's
it is
better
gonna
if
do that,
all
we're gonna
on this
pause.
way if we need to help
Until
each
we
other.
figure it out, and then we're gonna go
Yeah.
on.
That's all cool.
So we'll just take a little bit, 1 or 2 minutes.
Happens all the time.
Let us gather up our, whatever.
Good luck.
What's that?
Everybody okay with the presentation, at least for now? And
Absolutely.
I'm sure that it'll be fine. I mean, we've done this before.
What are we gonna vote Mike and Joey into doing?
Nothing.
Well, they're not here.
I think they're gonna be happy. Yeah, they're not here, so we're gonna make them.
Hey, real quick, I
You're
was
all set or
wondering.
no? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm all set with the PowerPoint presentation, and I should have mentioned something in the beginning of the meeting, but Josh Campo is on, and he's here for a specific agenda item. Is
Okay.
there, can we
Speed
move that
limit.
agenda item up?
Without objection, we'll move to number 10. How's that?
Yep.
Brandon, why don't you lead us into this first, and then you asked me to put it on the agenda, and I asked you what was it about, and then I learned what it was about, and it's just a kind of a formality.
Yeah, so we want to conduct a speed limit review on 131, and in order to do that, the select board has to sign a letter requesting that the state initiate that review. So we've drafted that letter, and that letter is in your packet. And if you approve it, then we can get it signed tonight and sent off to the state in the morning.
Did everybody see it? It's a study of the speed limit from, but I guess I didn't pay attention to the detail, and maybe Josh, you might know about it if you want to comment on this, but I think it's above what, the old Stoughton farm maybe, or there must be a start and a stop to this. The speed limit is 50, and they would like it to be reduced to 40, but V-Trans needs a study, and I'm sure they're gonna, like, how many cars travel that road and what's the rate of speed, so.
Right.
Do you have a comment on that, Josh? Are you still with us?
Yeah, that's pretty good, Dave. I mean, essentially, I think the Levine Road area and in front of the old Stoughton farm is too fast. I'd like to see it go down to 40, somewhere probably in the area of the cans, or where the cans used to live.
Yep.
That would kind of be my thought, and my understanding in talking with Brandon is there'll be ability for myself or others to be involved in the process with V-Trans as it kind of goes through their study.
Just so everybody knows it too, I mean, everybody seems to have traveled that area. That's right in the area of Victory Drive and Goulden Ridge Road as well, so it kind of, it mushrooms down into other roads. So it's not just about Levine Road, it's also coming down and it goes downhill a little bit, and I'm sure that 50 looks a lot more like 55. So, without objection, why don't we get a motion on the table to allow this to go forward?
I'll make a motion that we allow the chair to sign the request to retransfer the speed limit.
Conduct the speed limit review on
Speed
131.
limit review on 131.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the signing of the V-Trans letter to conduct a speed limit review on 131 at the noted, as noted in the application. How's that? That way I'm safe.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say
Aye.
aye. Mark me down as yes as well, DeForest. So I don't know who needs to sign it, but we're all set with that. Okay, thanks, Josh. You're all set. Let's go to the trails agreement discussion. So we're done with the town meeting presentation. There's something in our packet dealing with a description of trails, and it's on the agenda to discuss.
What brought this up?
I don't know.
It's
Brandon
brand new.
wanted me to have it on.
So Olivia's been working pretty closely with the Conservation Committee, as the liaison to the Conservation Committee on the ATA agreement. Members of the ATA, which now includes the former organization known as the Sports Trails of the Ascutney Basin, or STAB, have been working in the Weathersfield Town Forest, clearing some access points, and they've been working with the state to get approval for official use of parking and access to the state park on 44A in Windsor. So Jeff Pelton has been in ongoing communication with the ATA members regarding this work. The ATA, which they have a contract with West Windsor, wishes to create a similar partnership with the town of Weathersfield, with an understanding of expectations and responsibilities from both sides. The ATA has similar partnerships with the state, West Windsor and Windsor. So the ATA is proposing multi-use trail development, but are particularly excited by the opportunity for mountain bike trails in the Weathersfield Town Forest, as there are very few areas in the state of Vermont that allow for all three levels of mountain bike trails, beginner, intermediate, and expert. The second important feature of the WTF for the ATA will be the connecting trail needed as a part of the trail around the mountain. These are coming from notes from Heather Shand. The ATA has extensive experience in professional, sustainable trail design and building, along with property owner relationship development. Prior to the August 28th meeting, a draft of the cooperative agreement between the town of Weathersfield and the ATA was distributed for review of the Conservation Commission members. Also, an example of potential trailhead signs was shared prior to that meeting. So this draft agreement here is what they're looking for between the town and the ATA.
This is on for discussion, and obviously without having a full board here, I would not, I don't want any action on this. This is just for knowledge. A couple of things I think that would have to be researched or whatever, and I just listened to what you had to say, and I didn't really follow it that closely until now. When you just had, like, the words mountain biking, I know that whatever the property is located in the town forest is encumbered by the Vermont Land Trust. I don't know what activity is allowed when the land trusts are encumbered or not, whether it's just quiet walking or whether they would specify what is allowed and what's not allowed. That's a question. And number two, we've come a long way with the access to the town forest, but it's not completely satisfied at this moment. It's getting much closer, and I would advocate for the new board to continue on the path that we've gained so far to complete that before we make this agreement. And I appreciate the ATA also working on the other end with West Windsor, because we need to have a collaborative effort between, just like the transfer station with Reading and West Windsor and Weathersfield. We can't be everything to everybody, and so that's a good move as well. But that would satisfy the back end, so to speak, of where it comes in from 44A. So for those reasons, we'll just put this on the agenda for another meeting. For action or discussion. On this, I certainly want the full board to
Absolutely.
have knowledge about it, so.
That's what I was looking for, Dave, is just to, we've been looking at this at September 28th, and I wanted to go ahead and expose the board to the agreement, let you know what we're doing here.
But I don't know what the land trust allows or does not. I suspect that they have specific language, like no motors, maybe no, I don't know what they allow, what they don't allow, so. I'm pretty sure they would say something about water or, trails. John, did you have a
I
comment?
will say that I sent it to Brandon, but the governor's budget has increased the funds for projects like the trailhead and trail maintenance. He's increased it substantially. It's with CARES Act money, COVID-2, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's an opportunity to get all that built fairly quickly, and not any, maybe a little bit of in-kind work, but not a lot of taxpayer money, if
So,
any.
Will that be known more by May when they?
Yes.
Exit, okay, good.
And John, is that the result of there not being a lot of ability to gather inside, so they're trying to push everything
It's a
outside?
result of the federal government shoveling money out at people. I mean, it's incredible the money they're dumping everywhere. It is. I mean, I don't believe it.
I know, I'm just,
They're putting $127 million directly to the schools. Doesn't even have to go through the Department of Education.
maybe they'll have that in our presentation for town meeting. I don't know. Can we go to the next? We're all set with this for now?
Yep.
We'll just keep, whoever's been working on it will keep us informed. Next one up, to authorize the manager to sign the historic preservation grant. I believe this has to do with the 1879
Wink
building.
and a nod.
What's that?
A wink and a nod.
Yeah, well, no, but Brandon has been in contact with the girl here, Caitlin.
I know.
Corkins. And it's all been worked out. So, I mean, he signed this already, as you can see in our notes. It's just a formality that the board make the motion to authorize the manager on behalf of the town or in conjunction with the town to sign this grant and accept the grant because it's been awarded.
Make a motion to allow the town manager to sign the historic preservation grant.
For the noted amount, for I believe it's $15,312.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Yep, second.
Motion been made and seconded to accept the historic preservation grant to the town of Weathersfield on behalf of the 1879 building located in town for an amount not to exceed, well, they can exceed the amount, I shouldn't even say that if they want to feel better for us.
Not to be less than.
Not to be less than, how's that? Yeah, you're very good, Paul, thank you. 15,000, if they're shoveling money out, maybe they'll feel like they get, $15,312. Is there any discussion? I understand through this that there's no requirement because the committee has enough funds, or if there is one, they have enough to take care of whatever it is
It's a 50% match.
Okay.
And the committee has the money to cover it.
to cover, okay.
And we'll need to put it on the agenda to pull it out of reserves. Is that right?
Well, we gotta,
Reserve-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 1879.
yeah, but that's a little bit, that's probably a little bit further down the line, right? We'll have an RFP or something going out
Yes,
for
we
the
will
work.
have an RFP.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Again, same thing, DeForest, put me down as a yes. Next one, we've done the speed limit, so set a public hearing date on the zoning bylaw updates. These are given to us periodically from the planning board, and all we need to do is to set a hearing date, and it has to be done within a certain time frame. So, Brandon, did you have a date here that you wanted to set this for the noted
Either March 15th or April 5th would be
acceptable?
acceptable.
Is there Paul, what do you think? Is it March 15th or whatever is okay?
It depends on what else you might have around that time on those agendas, but yeah, I'm happy with either one. And it'll be within the guidelines, but if we can do March 15th, fine. I
But
mean,
now-
these are, you know, these are like renewable energy stuff, some habitat area, you know, some general standards, some definitions, so it's not, you know, I mean, there are changes, but it's not, not like some that might be coming up later.
Well, we'd have to, so you're telling me, Brandon, that March 15th fits? It complies with the notice, if you notice them, what, tomorrow morning or something, or?
Yep, we're all set.
You'd have to notice them, I don't even know what it is, what is it, 15 days or 30 days or whatever, you've done the homework.
Yep.
Okay, I'll set it for, at least for now, for March 15th. 6:30, how's that? Because I think, you know, I would advocate that we continue with the time change that we've made over the last months at 6:30 for the regular meeting. That we'll take that up for discussion on the new board at March 4th, but if we set this date, this time at 6:30, that's what it's gonna be.
So I'm going to update this notice of public hearing, and then maybe I can catch up with you tomorrow so you can sign it.
Any further discussion on the warning for the zoning articles? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? We set the warrant date for March 15th.
Is there a motion there somewhere? I
Okay, if we didn't, I'm sorry.
didn't hear. Just voted on something
way
that
ahead.
didn't happen.
Okay,
I missed the beginning of that.
that's just because I said so.
Well, that's what I thought happened, you just
Just gonna name
decided and then expected everybody to vote.
I'm almost, I'm not hearing any head shakes no, so I'm safe.
Trying to speed things along.
We're non-controversial here.
Did I miss a motion?
This is the way Washington ought to run. I mean, maybe we could give them some lessons.
John, you wanna?
If we make the motion for the hearing.
I'm the chair, I'd kinda like someone else to make a motion for that, if that's acceptable.
March 15th,
Yeah.
make a motion, we warn the proposed changes for the Weathersfield zoning bylaws for March 15th at 6:30 PM, Martin Hall.
And I'll second it.
Okay, now,
Thank you, John.
the motion been made and seconded to approve the zoning bylaw changes hearing date at March 15th at 6:30 PM for the noted list of articles that are here on our schedule on February 11th, 2021. So,
You said at Martin Hall,
yep,
does that mean you're gonna have people here for the hearing, or is it
No.
gonna be?
That's still Zoom.
Be the same.
No, it'll be,
Make sure it's the same for warning purposes? To say it's at Martin Hall, if you're not gonna accommodate.
okay, let's just say at our regular board meeting scheduled for, but that's also gonna be held here. No, we're not in public. We haven't been.
So,
We're warning it virtually, but
Right.
but the motion was at Martin Hall, that's all I'm
we're
Well,
gonna add.
the actual, the discussion will take place here at the select board meeting. So warn it the same way you do the select
To
board
warn a
meetings.
public hearing. We gotta pass a motion, so it is what it is. The motion's on the floor to have it here at Martin Hall, and why don't we just put like accessible by virtual, how's that?
Right.
Yep.
Public accessibility virtually.
There you go.
All those in favor say aye.
All
Aye,
right.
Any opposed? I'm also yes.
thank you.
Let's move to land use. Public hearing. There was amount of money that's put in this year's budget to allow some contractual work outside the regular work of the land use. And Brandon, why don't you take this from here? I think I've just given an overview about what you're asking for. It's an amount of $5,000. If I can find it, I keep scrolling up here. There we go.
And this proposal is not to exceed the $5,000, but Mr. Whitten has proposed to use this $5,000 line to digitize the land records in the town vault. That was the original intent, and then we received a grant for $19,000 for the digitalization of land records and recent completion of the digitization project. So now this money can be repurposed to digitize, which includes scanning and indexing of all the planning commission's records, including previous minutes, agendas, and materials, and make them available to the public via the town's new website. So if there's interest in doing this project, and Chris can probably tell you a little bit more about this. Chris, are you on?
I'm here.
Hi, Chris.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you. Nice.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. Did you want to speak to this? If you have a copy of it, or did you want to say something?
Just saying that this would be early way for the planning commission to get everything digitized. It would be really good for title searchers. I just took a class on Friday regarding title searching, and a lot of it was about zoning and what happens with subdivisions and things of that nature in the past. With this, I'll go back as far back as the records have in the vault. I know that would definitely cover the title search period of 40 years, and it'd be definitely cheaper for me to do it than to contract out, because look at the land records, it costs $19,800 to do the land records, and yeah, it would be cheaper to do it this way.
So is this a specific time frame that this will take care of? So is it like 10 hours? Is it 20 hours? Is it 150 hours? Or is it like 14 minutes? Is it can you like quantify what we're talking about, or?
We're probably looking at about 200 hours between physical scanning, organizing, renaming files, duplicating those files onto the town website, and then further duplicating those files onto a shared drive, either a hard drive or a disk for preservation purposes.
And accessibility as well, right? So when somebody calls you up, you'll be able to hit a button similar to what I remember Sven saying this. It was so much easier rather than hanging up on someone saying, I'll get back to you. You'll be able to find that, right? Well,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, okay, good. That's good. Anytime we can do that, it's better. It's better for the people outside and better for you as well.
Well, the people outside would be able to do it themselves.
Oh, okay.
This way, 'cause everything would be going on the town website.
Okay, even better.
There's a link right to it.
And the way that I plan to do this is not to pay out the $5,000, but to allow the land use administrator line to go over, and then I'll balance it with the $5,000 contracted services line to account for hours for the project. Does that seem acceptable?
Do we have a motion on the floor to accept the proposal from the land use administrator?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the reallocation of funds not to exceed $5,000 for the purpose that have been noted by the acting, or he's not acting, he is the zoning administrator, Chris Whidden. Any further discussion? Okay, we've heard it all. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same thing as before, me, yes. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you guys, have a great night.
Yep.
Thanks,
You
Chris.
too. Let's go to, I will convene the Board of Liquor Control Commissioners, which is us. And up first will be a license that is from Abbott Brown, doing business as the Inn at Weathersfield.
Make a motion to approve the application from Abbott Brown doing business as the Inn at Weathersfield for first-class liquor license, outside consumption permit, and third-class license.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the liquor license for the noted restrictions that John just said for Abbott, for Abbott Brown, doing business at the Inn at Weathersfield for the year, is it 2021 or until
It says 21.
until it expires or whatever? Is there any discussion? The only question that generally comes up on this, has the chief of police weighed in on any of these?
Yes, he has.
Okay,
He found no issues.
no issues with this one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any other discussion about this permit? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm a yes, DeForest. Next one up is Scott Rogers LLC, doing business as the Ascutney Market.
Make a motion to approve the second-class liquor license, Scott Rogers, DBA, Scutney Market.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the alcohol permit, liquor permit for Scott Rogers, doing business as the Ascutney Market. Were there any noted things? I'm not following here too much down. Is it the same, John? There's not an outdoor permit, right? It's just,
No, just beer and wine
okay,
for outside, or
up for inside
Takeout.
sales. Yep. Same question, Brandon, nothing, no issues?
The chief of police found no issues with this one.
Yep, okay. Any other discussion about the Ascutney Market liquor license? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. John, you're yes?
aye.
Yep. Next one up. Global Montello Group Corporation, doing business as Jiffy Mart, number 466.
Make a motion to approve the second-class liquor license for Global Montello, doing business as Jiffy Mart, number 466.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the liquor license for Global Montello Group Corporation, doing business as Jiffy Mart, number 466. I see that their address is 301 Vermont Route 131. I suspect that, is that right here, this one? So it's not the Jiffy Mart at Downers, right?
Yep.
The address, okay. Same question, is there any issue with the chief?
Nope.
Okay. Any other discussion about the Jiffy Mart? All those in favor say aye.
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 We don't have an obligation to remind them, but they may have neglected to do the Downers store. Same company.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Before they,
Before they run out
yep,
and they're getting a headache with the liquor board, right, the state?
yeah.
Well, now that you say that, we have that here in the list, but it's not on our warning. Because you
I
you scroll,
missed it when I was going through them.
scroll,
That happened last time too. It's like, it's the one company,
Okay,
but
see
there's
it.
two different addresses, so.
What's the number on that one?
I don't know, but I just
Yeah,
screwed
you're
up my
right. I
whole
remember
thing.
I can do it.
I hit the wrong button here, so I'm out. My screen is black.
Make a motion to approve the second-class liquor license Global Montello Group doing business as Jiffy Mart at the
Here comes help.
Downers Four Corners.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the liquor permit for Global Montello, doing business as, Jiffy Mart number 4, was it 37?
Is that what it says, 37?
Yep, 437, address of Route
Oh, yeah,
106.
okay. Yeah.
Yep. Same, no issues, Brandon?
No issues from the chief.
Okay. Any further discussion about Global Montello, Jiffy Mart 437, which is the one at Downers Four Corners? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes, go ahead. Next one up is Fireside Beverage LLC, doing business as Running Bear Campground.
Before I make the motion, I think the application for second class, don't they have a sit-down place too?
No.
No?
Nope, it's like a gas station.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the second-class liquor license Fireside Beverage LLC doing business Running Bear Campground.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the liquor license permit for Fireside Beverage, doing business as Running Bear Campground. Same thing, no issues?
No issues.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same thing, DeForest, aye. Any opposed? No. Anybody else here? Next one. Next one up, J.W. Sandry, doing business, well, that's where Dunkin' Donuts is. The Sunoco station right here in Ascutney.
Make a motion to approve the second-class liquor license J.W. Sandry doing business as Sandry number 204.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the liquor license permit for J.W. Sandry Incorporated, doing business as Sandry number 204, the Sunoco station. Same question, Brandon, all set?
All set.
Chief of Police. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Paul, did you say aye?
Aye. Aye.
Good.
I pulled a John.
Okay, I hereby stop or put to an end the Board of Liquor Commissioners. And they have been granted. Before we do the warrants, are there any other business that comes before the board? Nothing for tonight. Now we can go on to warrants, John, if you want to read some.
Make a motion to approve warrant article February 16th, 2021. General fund payroll $13,562.66, operating $21,287.98, highway payroll $10,551.33, operating $19,518.29, solid waste payroll $1,493.66, operating $5,402.50, library payroll $1,937.70, nothing in operating, zero. MES, which would be the fire gear reserve, I think that's the Scotney's equipment, $11,750 for a grand total payroll $27,245.35 and operating $57,958.77.
Is there a second?
John, you said under highway payroll, 10,551, it's 10,251 according
Yep.
to the printed.
Yep. 10,251.
Yeah.
10,251.33. Yep.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the warrants dated February 16th, 2021. Any discussion?
Screwed up the last one, I do.
You
The
just
only
want,
thing I'd like
you just
the
wanted to
board-
keep the $300.
I want the board to note on payroll for the highway, I'm not gonna call it a discrepancy, take a look at the foreman's pay versus his the men, and make note of it, 'cause I don't think it's fair. It's legitimate as far as the warrants are concerned, I just want people to realize that at least on that week's pay, the foreman got paid less than all his men.
Who's the foreman?
Raymond.
He's considered a foreman, that's his position?
No, department head, a department head.
He's salaried.
Oh, I didn't understand it.
Anyway.
Foreman, I've never heard that either. So he's a department director.
But,
Yeah.
so I just, a question on that one, we can take note of that, but that's part of being salary versus being hourly. If somebody's working hourly and they work overtime, they're gonna get paid more, and possibly could get paid more than a salary employee.
That's true, and under the circumstances, I don't think it's fair, because, I mean, he's even filling in for people that don't show up.
Okay, that.
I've mentioned it before, and I'm just mentioning it, my.
No, and that's
learning.
I'm okay with that, I just meant, I'm the same thing, I'm an hourly employee, and I have, the engineers I work for are salary, so, you know, we don't always, if I work overtime, we don't always go back to the engineers and say, well, they should get more money too.
Well, and he could also just say, screw it, you know, you and you are coming in overtime, I'm going home, but he doesn't do that.
But the different question you should ask is what, is there things to do to help with that? When there's big storms or something that's different, you know, on a, I don't know what the general consensus would be for that, but, you know,
Well,
because I see what you're saying, you know.
if you look at there's 2 weeks of things here.
Right,
And
it's
they're,
not true every week, I agree.
yeah, which is a little strange, because if it is a salary, then you'd think the salary would be the same for each, like Brandon's, would be the same
Yeah, that,
regardless.
I don't know why it shows up.
Yeah, right, so that's question number one. I had, it seems like over the last couple of years, anyway, these storms seem to be happening on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so it only exacerbates that situation,
Right.
what you just pointed out. I had a conversation with Brandon this last storm, or maybe it wasn't today's, but it was before, and I called him and I said, listen, I think you should call, and they were out a lot. I mean, I saw John on one of the trucks, and I said, John, did you make it home? and he said, yeah. And but I asked Brandon to speak with Ray to see if they could work out some split shifting or do something. So I think it's a management decision, and
I
it's
agree.
and it starts with Brandon, that he's got to, that the board could give him a little bit of a direction about what you just talked about. I think what would happen in that, if you think about it going a little bit more forward, that all department heads then would jump underneath that, including
Not
Brandon.
the only salary, you're right.
Including Brandon. So there's risk in doing it for
I
one.
agree.
So, and the police chief would be
Yep.
another one. And then the board would have to rein in saying, nope, you're on for 50 hours, and then it becomes a matter of what you just said, which is there's a second in command, and I'm going home.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the board's telling you that's the ceiling.
Or some kind of compensation if he exceeds a number of hours.
Yeah.
Or any of them exceed the
Right,
number of
right.
hours a week, and legitimate hours. I mean,
Yeah.
Brandon takes stuff home every night.
No, he's always in here. In fact, the other day I told him that
he was here Monday.
yeah, I'm telling him that I locked the door and threw away the keys. He said, I need to be quiet. I said, I'm telling you to be quiet right now. Go home.
One thing that I have mentioned to Raymond is that that this week is going to be really tough on those guys. If they were CDL drivers and didn't have the exemption, they'd have to rest.
Right.
And
Yes, that's
I think
right.
as they get more tight, I mean, that's a busy job running one of those rigs.
Part of their, I see it every time that I go down there, and it happened with Wes, and it spilled over into Ray, and it happens at the people that work in there too. They don't want to hear criticism from residents. And every time I see him, and I said the same thing to Brandon this time around, I said, send them my way.
Yeah,
You need to
that's
send
right.
you need to send those complainers to the board or to us, because we've got big shoulders, and we're going to say we're doing the best we can. Go take some medicine, and I'm being polite.
Yep.
But that's what they don't want to do. They don't want to be
Right.
badgered by somebody saying that they're doing a bad job, and all of them don't think they're doing enough. It's just, it's the nature of the roads.
And they're doing a lot. I mean, that's a given, and people, I don't
Yes.
think people realize the
No.
amount of work that they do, so, you know.
There's a motion that's been made and seconded to approve the warrants dated February 16th, is it? Tonight?
Yeah.
2021. Any further discussion? All those in favor say
Aye.
Aye.
aye. Aye. Thank you. Guess we can adjourn, motion to adjourn?
I'll let John do the
Motion
last
to
one.
adjourn.
Second it.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
8:17.